This is the story of Beni-imo, a purple root that fed one of the longest-lived populations ever documented, and how a narrow body of laboratory science got stretched into a claim no human study has ever confirmed. Beni-imo, a purple-fleshed sweet potato from Okinawa, Japan, now carries the wellness label of a food that starves aging cells. That phrase has spread everywhere, but the published research tells a different story, one that is more layered and far more useful than any marketing tagline. And if you are over 60 and concerned about healthy aging, that distinction matters more than any supplement headline. Over the next few minutes, we are going to trace Beni-imo from a 17th century smuggling mission through one of the world's longest-running centenarian studies, and into laboratories where scientists are testing what anthocyanins actually do to aging cells. We will cover what the data supports, where it falls short, and what that means for anyone watching this who cares about aging well. How a stolen root saved an island. Back in 1605, a minor Okinawan official named Noguni Sokan smuggled sweet potato seedlings home from a tribute depot in Fuzhou, China. His superior Gima Shinjo refined the farming techniques and spread the crop island-wide, and within roughly 15 years sweet potato blanketed all of Okinawa. That act of agricultural smuggling, born out of desperation during the Satsuma invasion of 1609, would echo across centuries of Okinawan history. None of this happened because the root tasted good. Okinawa is a chain of subtropical islands with thin soil, constant typhoons, and barely enough flat ground for rice paddies. After the Satsuma clan invaded in 1609, food became even harder to come by, which meant a crop that could be harvested every 5 to 6 months was a lifeline. Sweet potato rescued the population from repeated famines across 3 centuries, all the way through the devastation of the Second World War. Noguni Sokan now has his own shrine in Kadena town. Okashi Goden created the Beni-imo tart in 1986, and it became the top-selling souvenir. Beni-imo Kit Kats, ice cream, and shochu followed, embedding this root deep into Okinawan cultural identity. But here's the thing. Those early Okinawans grew mostly orange and yellow-fleshed sweet potatoes, not purple ones. The first cultivar bred specifically for high anthocyanin content, a variety called Ayamurasaki, did not come out of that research program until 1995. That makes high anthocyanin Beni-imo a modern agricultural product, not an ancient tradition. If you want to find purple sweet potatoes in the United States, Stokes Purple shows up at Whole Foods and similar stores. What makes the purple one different? The purple color comes from compounds called anthocyanins, the same pigment family found in blueberries, blackberries, and red cabbage. What separates Beni-imo from those other sources is structure. Over 90% of its anthocyanins are acylated, carrying extra chemical groups that shield the molecule. That structural difference shows up in the kitchen and in the body. Beni-imo anthocyanins hold their color through cooking and resist breakdown. Both Japan and the European Union approved purple sweet potato anthocyanin as a natural food colorant precisely because of that resilience. The foundational chemistry behind all of this came from Japanese researchers Norihiko Terahara, Osamu Yamakawa, and Mami Yoshimoto. Fresh purple sweet potato flesh delivers past 240 milligrams. Wild blueberries, by comparison, can reach about 487 milligrams. Gram for gram, Beni-imo contains somewhat less anthocyanin than top-tier berries, but what it does contain proves far more chemically durable. Fiber sits at about 3 grams, alongside potassium, vitamin C, and a storage protein called sporamin, which adds another layer to the nutritional profile. One common claim needs correcting, though. Purple Beni-imo contains negligible beta-carotene. Articles touting it as high in vitamin A are confusing it with orange varieties. And it is not the same as ube. Ube is a purple yam from the Philippines belonging to an entirely different plant family. The two share almost no nutritional overlap. The Okinawa Centenarian connection. Beni-imo did not become a wellness phenomenon because of anthocyanin chemistry. The longevity story drove all the attention. Cardiologist Dr. Makoto Suzuki launched the Okinawa Centenarian Study in 1975, trying to understand why so many Okinawans live past 100. Over the following decades, his team, later expanded by twin brothers Bradley Wilcox and Craig Wilcox, examined more than 1,000 centenarians. Centenarian prevalence in Okinawa ran roughly 40 to 50 per 100,000 people, which was 2 to 5 times the rate in most developed countries. Dietary data from 1949 paints a picture. About 69% of all Okinawan calories came from sweet potato. Rice covered only about 12%. The Wilcox team characterized these Okinawans as naturally calorically restricted, and notably, They practiced harahachi-bu, stopping when 80% full. Coronary heart disease mortality ran about 80% lower than American peers. Cancer mortality about 40% lower. BMI hovered around 21. A genetic variant called the FOXO3 longevity allele showed up more frequently in these centenarians as well. Journalist Dan Buettner organized a National Geographic expedition in 1999, coining the term blue zones in 2005. One sentence from his later book launched a global wellness obsession. About 60% of Okinawan calories came from a purple variety of sweet potato known as Beni-imo, what the laboratory actually shows. Now for the question, does Beni-imo starve aging cells? The biology starts with senescent cells. As we age, certain cells stop dividing but refuse to die, pumping out inflammatory chemicals that damage everything. Two types of compounds target them: senolytics, which selectively kill senescent cells, and xenomorphics, which quiet their harmful output without destroying them. Fisetin, found in strawberries and apples, is the only plant compound in serious human senolytic trials. Fisetin is not a notable component of purple sweet potato. What the research demonstrates falls into the xenomorphic category. A team in China consistently measured reduced oxidative stress markers and suppression of inflammation in mice. Two separate studies fed purple sweet potato extract to fruit flies and recorded a median lifespan extension of roughly 16%. That is where the evidence stops. No published study has demonstrated that Beni-imo anthocyanins selectively kills senescent cells in any vertebrate. No human study has shown life extension. The human evidence gap. This section carries the most weight for anyone over 60 watching this. Researchers confirmed that intact anthocyanins do reach the human bloodstream, but quantities proved vanishingly small, reaching only the low nanomolar range. The strongest relevant clinical trial, known as the acylated trial, randomized 206 adults aged 60 to 80 with cognitive or heart risk factors. Half received purified anthocyanins and half received a placebo. On the primary endpoint of episodic memory, there was no significant difference between groups. A meta-analysis covering 32 trials did pick up modest reductions in inflammatory markers, but those studies drew on berries, not purple sweet potato. No published human study has measured senescent cell burden or epigenetic aging clocks in anyone consuming Beni-imo. The phrase starves aging cells has no scientific basis in humans. The blue zones controversy. An honest presentation requires one more chapter. Demographer Saul Justin Newman won the Ig Nobel Prize in 2024 for a paper that challenged the entire Blue Zones framework. In 2010, officials visited Tokyo's oldest living man, listed at 111, and found him mummified inside his home, dead since roughly 1978. Newman stated that nutrition surveys show Okinawans eating the fewest vegetables and sweet potatoes while carrying the highest body mass index in Japan. Between 2000 and 2002, Okinawan men's life expectancy ranking dropped from 4th to 26th, a free fall the locals named the 26 shock. By 2020, it was 43rd. Okinawa now carries the highest obesity rate in Japan, and home to just 1.1% of the population, consumes over 90% of the nation's luncheon meat. What this honestly means for you: 3 conclusions hold up under scrutiny. 1. Beni-imo qualifies as a genuinely good food. High in fiber and stable anthocyanins, it fits cleanly into a plant-forward eating pattern. Eating it carries no downside. 2. The biological mechanisms are real but unconfirmed in people. The pathways matter, but the strongest human trial failed its primary endpoint. 3. The longevity narrative is more tangled than any headline conveys. Their advantage grew from an entire pattern of living: moderate calories, harahachi-bu, social networks, and ikigai. For those in the U.S., Stokes Purple is at Whole Foods. Okinawan varieties are at H Mart. The Murasaki potato at Trader Joe's has white flesh and minimal anthocyanin. Keep that distinction in mind. The bottom line is straightforward. Eat Beni-imo because it is a good food, not because it will reprogram your biological clock. The mechanisms are watchable. The story of Okinawan longevity cannot be compressed into a single purple root. If this kind of evidence-first breakdown helps you, subscribe. We always report what the science actually shows.